Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. It's also your Chelsea versus Manchester United preview because what is a massive game at the weekend is somewhat second fiddle to this Manchester United situation, which actually is not probably moving as quick as I would like it to, if I'm absolutely honest with you. Although Eric Cantona has just announced that he's the new manager of Manchester United. Of course, it's not true. It better not be true because everyone's laughing at it. It's not true, but you know what? Fair play, Eric Cantona. It's very funny what he's put on Instagram announcing himself as Manchester United manager, but it does amplify and magnify the situation that we are 4 days since they sacked Solskjaer and nothing's in place. And I think that's quite a shame, really, because it just shows again. I think that Pochettino played last night and United played Tuesday night. Ed Woodward and Matt Judge and the Glazers, they're not training the team, they're not playing for the team. They've had 4 days and nothing's really happening at the moment. So, yeah, Cantona's having a joke, but I think Manchester United are having a laugh as well. It just shows you, though. Imagine if Cantona was the coach. I'd be appalled. Anyway, we've got the latest on Pochettino. Ranić has pulled out or is not getting the job, whichever way you want to call it. Whether he was ever seriously considered, I would doubt. And what is the latest with Pochettino as Zidane and PSG apparently escalate talks? How quick could that get done? What are Manchester United looking to do? And also a game against Chelsea at the weekend, which they've only conceded 3 goals at Stamford Bridge in 6 games. They've actually got a better away record than they've got a home record because they've lost 1 game this season, and that was to Man City at Stamford Bridge. Very difficult game. You can see how I think Carrick might line up on that side. I've also got an alternative view as well, but we'll talk about all that in a moment. But we're back for a football match, so you know what that means. It means Ultimate Fan. If I put it up on the screen for you there, Ultimate Fan is back. It's your opportunity to win some cash if you're over 18 and you want to play. Today's show is supported by the Ultimate Fan Fantasy League app. Ultimate Fan is fantasy football with a twist. Imagine fantasy football combined with super cool pack openings. The game is super simple to play. All you have to do is be over 18 and download the app from the link in the video description totally for free. Follow the sign-up system and then you'll be able to start opening packs and filling in your team for the coming weekend. And the players you get will win your points, dependent on their performance, obviously. There is also Ultimate Fan Plus for you to explore. This section features paid for good and silver packs where you can receive extra cards for your team, exclusive content and much, much more. Each week there are prizes available, this is the big bit, for the teams that perform the best. So the teams who get the most points, they've got a chance of winning this week's prize pool, which is £8,500. This week I've packed Arsenal's Ben White, which means normally I would have said Ben Shite, but he's actually doing quite well at the moment, so he gives me a couple more defensive options. And I'm going to update my defence, taking out Wan-Bissaka and Antonio Rudiger in favour of Robertson and Ben White, as I think both Liverpool and Arsenal are likely to get results this week. Look, Rudiger is playing Man United. He probably will get a clean sheet, but Ben White's playing Newcastle at home and Liverpool are playing Southampton at home, so I'm going to go Robertson and White. Up top, I've also moved things around, bringing in Sadio Mane for Harry Kane, and also a slightly surprising addition in Yuri Tielemans, as I think Leicester are going to do well against Watford, and he is back for that game. As always, if you want to check out my team, we've posted it on the United Stand Twitter, which is at United Stand MUFC. If you head over there and you're playing, make sure to drop your screenshots in the replies so everyone can have a look at the teams. And if you want to take part in this awesome week's game, hit the link in the description below and you can start playing Ultimate Fan today. It's free to play. You've got to be over 18, but you can win up to £8,500. Open those packs and see how you do. Free to play, but you've got to be over 18. Thanks again to Ultimate Fan for supporting the channel. They always do this on the previews, and you can play through the link in the video description. Right, let's get on with the show. I do want to talk about Manchester United against Chelsea at the weekend, but I don't know whether I'm wrong here, but I do feel like it's very much second fiddle, like I said. I do want to talk about Chelsea. I do want to talk about Manchester United. I do want to talk about our options, but I don't know whether everybody else is feeling this. But the Chelsea game I want to win, but I feel like, when you're going in reverse and everyone else is going forward, it'd be nice to get a fastest lap going backwards, but that's what it feels like with me for Manchester United. If we beat Chelsea at the weekend, it's like, we've got a fastest lap in the Grand Prix, but we've done it reverse. We need to start going forward. We need to start moving forward. And look, we're going to see Michael Carrick in a press conference again tomorrow. I'm going to get lots of sleep tonight because I don't want to be falling asleep through it. But it's uninspiring anyway. Look, I love Michael Carrick. I think as a footballer, he was one of my favourite footballers, but he was never Mr. Charismatic in front of a camera when he was a player, and he's certainly not now. And I don't think he's a very good coach either, having got Mourinho sacked and now been part of Ollie getting the sack. So we need to change this setup very, very soon. And I think I hope we can win at the weekend. But what I would like to see is what I said at the start of the week, is that we've got this manager in place watching from the stands for the game on Sunday, so that on Monday morning they start work. I think United have failed with a capital F if we don't have a manager for Monday morning, because that Arsenal game is our first game at Old Trafford in a while. The crowd needs to have something to sing about, and if it's Carrick and Arsenal, I just think it's flat as a witch's tit, to be honest with you. And I haven't played with many of them, but the reality is, I don't, it's just not. It's not flat as a worm's arse works better, doesn't it? But yeah, I think we've got to get something done by Monday morning, and I expected something to happen today. I'm not going to start, it's not like a transfer. We've got to get it done by, transfer deadline at 8 o'clock tonight. But we do need to start moving a lot quicker. And I think that if we go into Arsenal with Michael Carrick, I'm really not happy with that. Got scared, thought you meant Poch to Chelsea, says Tanzim. No, Poch in for Chelsea. I mean, look, let's talk about Pochettino then. So, mixed bag, which I think is no news is good news. I've heard things this morning that are very positive about Pochettino, but then you look at the press and some people are saying maybe not. I think the fact is at the moment is that PSG will sack Pochettino at some point, and Pochettino is not very happy. It's inevitable that that's not going to work out. If you watched the game last night, I was watching it on That's Football, it's not going to work out. He can't. I know how Pochettino plays. I did a video on it yesterday, which you can watch on the channel, and Pochettino cannot play the way he wants to play with Neymar, Mbappe and Messi in the team. And he inherited Neymar and Mbappe, and they gave him Messi. So he has to play those three players. What people don't understand is that PSG are a bit of a franchise. Leonardo and the people involved, they bring these players in, and then you're the manager, get on with it. You're paid to get on with it. He's got no say in recruitment. How can he play a high press, and Pochettino teams, whether it's Southampton or Spurs, they play a high intense press. How can you press when your front three don't know what to do in, because they're not that sort of a player? They're like Ronaldo in a sense, but you can do one player you can get away with, but you can't get away with three players like that. So, Pochettino's destined to fail. I think most managers are destined to fail with that, as amazing as it sounds, front three, because it just doesn't work. Football's a team game. He's going to get the sack at some point. But if I fear United will go, yeah, well, he is going to get the sack at some point. Let's wait and save a bit of money. And money is always the problem with United, because if they can save a bit of money, they held on to Ollie for too long because they were like, we've just given him a new contract. So United are very money motivated, as we know, and it worries me that they might go, let's get an interim in. Poch will probably be sacked in the summer, and if the interim doesn't do well, we'll just get Poch. And I think that's United's risk banking approach. It's like, let's just get somebody in as a safe pair of hands for a bit. If they do really well, we'll keep them and they're cheap. If they don't do really well, Poch will be sacked by then. And I really do think that that's United's mentality at the moment. They don't want to spend the money to get what needs to get done. And I hope they prove me wrong, because it needs to be done. But I think Pochettino can happen. He wants to leave. He will get sacked at some point. It's just whether PSG can get a replacement in. If Woodward really wants to go out on a high, taking a top team's manager would be a real power move, says Joshua Bowater. It would, It would. It would be a massive move to get Poch out of PSG. If Poch comes, will he need to work alongside with Carrick? Also, your percentage of permanent manager to United, says Jude. I like those sort of questions. Pochettino will not want to work with Carrick and McKenna. No one wants to work with Carrick and McKenna. Ollie's wishing he never worked with Carrick and McKenna. So, no. The United cannot enforce that on Pochettino, because otherwise it's the same problem he has at PSG. He can't play the way he wants to play because he's got Neymar. He's got to pick Neymar, Mbappe and Messi, because that's what he's been told to do. If he comes to United, he can't get United to play the way he wants to play because he's got coaches who don't know how to do it. So Pochettino, full-time manager, means management team come with them. That's why I want it. Interim manager, I think they will be told to work with what they've got, and I think that's bad news. And as I said yesterday, if you got Valverde, who's managed in Spain, and you bring him over to England, and then he's got to get used to a load of players and English coaches as well, this is just typical Manchester United, really. It's typical Ed Woodward and the Glazers. They don't understand football. They think you can bring a manager in who's good, and they're going to operate off their CV when you give them coaches that you've got. You've got to a manager and his management team have to be part of the job. What are your thoughts on the football regulation, says Mitch P? I'm not massively interested in it, to be honest with you. There's still no Still no fan ownership, is there? So, you know, I mean, there's some positives in there, but the reality is it's not really as far as we wanted it to go. Any new manager will improve the team, but Rangnick would move the club forward. That would be the best outcome for us. No more jobs for the boys, says Aman. So, yeah, on Pochettino, I would still say watch this space. I still think it could move very, very quickly. And hopefully that's why it's a little bit quiet today. I think the next 24 hours are key. But maybe they're looking for a Black Friday deal, says Mehul. In relation to Rangnick, now if I just get this right, this I mean, look, it's coming from Alex Crook, who I think is Talk Sport, but you know, it might be true, it might not be true, but he's saying that sources in Russia told him that you can scratch Ralf Rangnick off the list to Manchester United as an interim. He's set to stay at Lokomotiv Moscow. So the thing is, you know, you're up, you're down, you're left, you're right. You never know how to feel. And I think with Rangnick, he's the only interim most of us would take because he wouldn't be an interim. No, I don't think any United fan wants an interim to come into this club at all, because we know what happens with interims. They'll end up they're cheap and they'll end up full time. And I can only repeat very quickly what I said yesterday. If you get an interim manager in, they're either going to fail disastrously and be in the Europa League and then we get a new manager, or they're going to do well and get the job. There's no in between. There is no in between. That's what United will do. If the interim does bad, we'll be in the Europa League and we'll get a new manager. If the interim does good, and by good I think, you know, plays better football, gets us in the top four, they'll bloody keep him. And lots of fans will say I'd like to keep them. But, you know, it won't be any change in 2 or 3 years. Harsh reality, it probably will be Valverde, says Tyrese. And I think the club is absolutely screwed if they get an interim. I really do. The only interim I would have entertained would have been Ralf Rangnick, but I knew we wouldn't get him because he would only take the job if he could become director of football and have a massive say on the structure of the football club. But Man United don't want that. And I was actually told this morning, that Manchester United, despite sacking Solskjaer, Ed Woodward and co still believe they're on the right track. This is crazy, but I was told this morning, and I'm pretty sure it will hit the papers, probably Manchester Evening News at some point, and others. I was told this morning that Manchester United, despite sacking Solskjaer, still think that their plan and structure is the one that they want to keep. They just, well, I didn't get told anything more than that. So, you know, the question should have been to them, hold on a minute, how are you sticking with a plan and structure that's taken 4 points from 21, had us playing some of the worst football we've ever played for the last calendar year, and has got us in massive trouble with an imbalanced and unhappy squad? How can that structure be right? But this is why they would never go near Rangnick, because Rangnick would want to come in, be involved in recruiting the next manager, be involved in who leaves and who goes, and be involved in restructuring the club for the next 5 years. Well, United don't want that. We don't need that, thanks. We just need a manager. We've got Murta and Fletcher for that, and we've got Kadiki on the training ground. We just need an interim to come in. Can we put our hooks on you now? Fuck off. So yeah, I think it's very, very worrying that. But you know, that wouldn't be a surprise, would it? You know, saying that to you, that's not a surprise. United, up until Saturday last week, thought that they were on the right track with Solskjaer. So even though they've removed Ollie, they still think a lot of the things are, you know, their structure and their ideas are good, which is why they're desperately trying to keep people like Carrick at the club and Murta as a director of football. I mean, the whole club's broken. It is. Somebody somehow needs to figure out a way to get the Glazers out of that football club, because the minute we do that is the minute we become a competent footballer club again. And that is why, when you think about it, before I talk about the Chelsea game, that is why any other club, when they sack a manager, their fans get excited because they think, oh, it's the end of that shit show. What's next? United fans this week, we're like, well, you've sacked the manager and we're still as concerned. I mean, I'm not. I mean, absolutely honest. We're just about to preview Chelsea. We previewed Watford this time last week. I don't actually feel a lot different than I did last week against Watford. All right, Ollie's gone, but I still am like terrified of what's going to happen and, you know, the mess we're in. That shouldn't happen when you sack a manager. You sack a manager, you get somebody else in. 4 days, and we still don't know what United are doing. And they've, you know what, when you look at it like that, they've absolutely embarrassed themselves. We got stuffed by Leicester 6 weeks ago. I think Liverpool was 5 weeks ago. Man City was 3 weeks ago. This has been coming for a very long time. We get stuffed by Watford, they sack the manager, and 4 days later, they still don't know what they're doing. It's embarrassing. They've had so long to prepare for this and have a plan B, and they bloody haven't got one. It's it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see what happens. And Zero Blade says they're hoping Carrick does well so they can keep him. I would not be surprised. I mean, it terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. But I would not be surprised. I think they'd love to keep Carrick in post till the end of the season. And I'll tell you what, whatever you think about Michael Carrick, and I loved him as a player, but he has got no personality. Absolutely none. He's boring. And if that's going to be Man United's manager, we're going to have a very, very long season. And also, I just feel that United... I watched the game back. I watched the Villarreal game back yesterday. And we were... I had to watch it back because I just was like, we finished really well. And I had to fast play the first hour. We were dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. And ultimately, that was down to the players that we won that game. David De Gea individualism, Ronaldo pouncing on a mistake, and then a really good team goal to finish it off. But it's not about the coaching, it's poor. Anyway, let's go into the Chelsea game because we have got Chelsea at the weekend. Some interesting facts about Chelsea going into this game. A lot of fans think we're going to come unstuck. They have lost at home this season. It's their only loss at home this season, and that was it's their only loss this season. Actually, it was Man City at Stamford Bridge a couple of months ago. They've only conceded 3 goals in 6 games at home, but they've scored 17 goals. So they're averaging nearly 3 goals a game at home, and they've got, as I said, 3 goals conceded, 17 scored. So, you'd say United will lose this game 2-0, but whatever happens, I think it will be a low-scoring game. Chelsea do not concede many goals. Their away record is even better, which I think this just shows you that with Chelsea, and we know this with Tuchel, and how interesting can I just say? If anybody wants to criticise Pochettino, Tuchel at PSG was crap. Like, we played Tuchel twice this time last year at PSG with Manchester United. In Paris, Ollie played him off the park, and at Old Trafford, we should have bloody won. Martial missed a sitter, and I think it was the game where Fred got sent off. So, Tuchel at PSG was not that great. Goes to Chelsea, doesn't have to play with a load of prima donnas, and, has a team that will work for him, and suddenly he's one of the best coaches in the world. So, people doubting Pochettino because it's not going well at PSG. He's not the first manager to struggle at PSG. But we do know about Tuchel, well organised, sometimes infuriatingly well organised. They don't concede many goals. So I think this game, I think the best we can get out of this game, and I hope we do win, but I think if we were to win, it would be like 1-0, maybe 2-1, but I'd say 1-0. I think the best we can hope to get out of this game is a draw. And I think based on what I've just said to you there, they're top of the league. They've only lost 1 game all season. They've only conceded 3 goals at home. They're defensively well organised. They play a back 5, but they don't play a back 5. Obviously, it's got people like Reece James, who's in the form of his life, bombing forward. I think Carrick, who has got minimal experience anyway, will not go to Chelsea and play a back 4. I think he will infiltrate a back 5. He will play McTominay and Fred, and he will try and get a point, just like he did in Villarreal. He'll try and get a point and get something on the break. He will try and do what Ollie was doing 3 years ago. He will try and do what Ollie was doing 2 years ago. He will try and do what Ollie was doing 3 weeks ago. He will just try and keep a clean sheet, and if we can nick a result, it's great. But, this for me is why you need to call it out. We are Manchester United, and we are going into big games to park the bus, and we've been doing it for 3 years. And this is why I don't want Michael Carrick at the club or McKenna at the club, because they've been part of this disease within the football club for 3 years. 3 years we've been playing people like Chelsea and parking the bus, and people want to give him till the end of the season. Like, get people in that club who understand football, please. They all should have gone. Like Scholes said on Tuesday night, they all should have gone on Sunday because they're all part of the disease that was Solskjaer's reign in relation to the shit football that we played. And yet still the club are trying and hoping that we can scab a result at the weekend so they can go, Carrick's here till the end of the season, which means crap football to the end of the season. We're going to park the bus at Chelsea. I think he will play a back 5. Obviously, we don't have Harry Maguire, so I think Luke Shaw will tuck in as a left-sided centre-back with Lindelof and Bailly. Obviously, Varane won't be back, and then Wan-Bissaka and Telles as the wing-backs. I say wing-backs, I think they'll be staying back a lot. Then I think he'll play McTominay and Fred for their mobility, and then I think it will be Bruno, obviously, ahead of that, which means Donny back to the bench. And I would say probably Sancho's at risk, even though it's stupid. I'd rather see Ronaldo and Sancho as a front two, but Sancho's not really going to be able to play in that position. I think he will play Rashford for his pace, although if Cavani was fully fit, he might go with him. So I think that I think that he'll go with that, because I think he is. Carrick's playing for his future, isn't he? He's not playing, but he's managing for his future. If he can get a result against Chelsea, he might stay at United for another year. Till the end of the year, which means his reputation is enhanced. So I think Carrick will be looking at this game. I think he'll be staying up late at night, writing out little plans with McKenna, and I think it will be around a back five. I don't think they'll go and play a back four at Chelsea. I really don't think he will. I think he'll go back five. And try and get a point. And we might get a point with the back five. If we sit and park the bus, we may well do it. Because what he won't want to do is he won't want what Liverpool did to us. He won't want what Man City did to us, where there was the potential, and with Liverpool it did happen. And Watford and Leicester it happened. He won't want to see us getting beat 4-5. And actually, when you look at United's, we've conceded 4 in our last 3 away games in the Premier League. So. Twice we've conceded 4, haven't we? Leicester and Watford. So I think it will definitely be a back five. There is, and I don't think it will be a 5-0 loss, Kieran, because I think when you set yourselves up like that, you're playing for a draw with a potential on the break penalty or corner or something like that. The alternative is, and I need to put myself on the screen here, the alternative is that he goes with a back 4, which becomes a back 6, as you can see. McTominay and Fred still play. Obviously, Lindelof and Bailly centre-backs with Telles on the bench and Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. This will allow him to play Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, and Ronaldo. I would keep an eye on that one, just because Sancho played well on Tuesday. So can you drop Sancho? If he's going to play Sancho, I think he'll play with that team. If he's not, if he's going to go how I think he will go and go defensive, then I think he will go with that team there. I don't care if Poch hasn't won any trophies. United haven't won a trophy in 4 years. Don't understand why everyone thinks United are entitled to trophies, says Liam Roberts. Mate, I've got absolutely no... we've spoken about Cantona, by the way. Chelsea will slice through our midfield like a cake, says Anrud. And I have zero confidence in this club not making the same mistake with Carrick as they did with Ollie. I just know it's a sight. And I think, that is why for me at the moment, I'm still very much in this halfway house with United, where I'm unsure as to what to feel. As I say, normally you sack a manager and you feel optimistic. We've sacked a manager, but we haven't really sacked a manager because his coaching team's still there. And there's a risk that they could be here till the end of the season, which makes me want to throw up. I couldn't think of anything worse. I will say this right now, and I mean it. If Carrick and McKenna and Phelan are here till the end of the season as the interim, I'd have rather kept Ollie. Because at least Ollie's interesting in interviews. Like, I find Carrick and them lot just boring. So, and it's not going to be any different. So, but that can't happen. They've got to appoint somebody. But the longer it goes quiet, the more concerned you get. What worries me a little bit is I feel that a logical football club would have highlighted Arsenal at home next Thursday and gone, that's where the reset starts. It's a home game against Arsenal. It's a big game. And if you've got the new manager in who's trained the team for a couple of days, you get that bounce. And then we've got Norwich and Palace and teams where we could go on a good run. It's absolutely essential that the new manager is in by Monday or Tuesday morning at the latest, because the players will obviously have the day off after Chelsea. So you've got to have that manager in place. And that's what's worrying me a little bit, is time is moving on. Koeman can get out, Vigo. I'm not interested in that. Going back to that previous super chat though about the trophy requirement. Look, I said it last week and I'll say it again. If Brendan Rodgers was our manager next Tuesday, or Pochettino was our manager next Tuesday, or Ten Hag was our manager next Tuesday, or Zidane was our manager next Tuesday, there's different levels of happiness, but I would be happy. Because they'd all bring their coaching team in and it would be a reset. So I don't really care about when people say, well, Poch doesn't win trophies. Hello? This is Manchester United under Ed Woodward. We don't win trophies either. This whole... It's not about lowering your standards. I refuse to let the standards of the football club drop. Manchester United should be a football club that challenges for titles, but I'm not in charge. I can't set the standard. I have a personal standard like you do for where United should be. The reality of the standards are that Manchester United haven't been in a title race for nearly 10 years. Not even forget win one. We've not been in a race for one for 10 years nearly. Champions League, we've been nowhere near that either. So we're not a club that wins trophies, because if you think the Carabao Cup and the Europa League are trophies, they are, but they're not really the level that United should be winning at. So when people are talking about Pochettino and he hasn't won anything, well, to be honest with you, I don't think United really win anything. So, you know, and who are United going to get that wins titles? If we wanted to do that, we should have gone for Conte, and the club refused to do it. So, you know, everything leads back to the incompetence at the top. You can't criticise Pochettino if United go for him because he hasn't won trophies, because that's United. United could have got somebody who wins titles and chose to ignore him and let him go to Spurs. United need to get this done. And I would say as well, I want a full-time manager at Manchester United. I want the reset now. And if that's Pochettino, I will go with that. But what I will say right here, right now, is that how desperate is Pochettino for the job? Because if he's desperate, he's going to give up on things. And I mean budgets, control. If you're desperate with United, they'll screw you over. Mourinho came in and he was so desperate. He signed that contract and he lost control. And I think, you know, how desperate is Pochettino as well? That's the only thing that worries me. But Pochettino might not work. I said this after Mourinho. When Mourinho got sacked, I remember saying, look, he's got to go. Hopefully we can get it right next time. But the minute Mourinho got sacked, that was it. Game over for me. In relation to, I think when Moyes got the job, I was scared and it went wrong. When Van Gaal came in, I believed he could build us into a club again. And when Mourinho came in, well, he's won a title everywhere. So I thought we would win a title. When it failed with Mourinho, the penny dropped with me that there is no guarantee with any manager now. We shouldn't be getting managers or signings and going, we're going to win the league. Whether it's Ronaldo signing for United, whether it's, you know, whoever the next manager is, there's no guarantees anymore because the club has degraded itself and fallen so far. We have to aim to win trophies, but I think we're as a fan base, it would be ridiculous to start saying we're going to win a title when we get a new manager in, because the players don't know how to win a title. The club knows, the club identity, Manchester United knows how to win major trophies, but the owners don't, the CEO doesn't, and the players don't. It's been a long time since we've done it, and we are wandering into the territory of an Arsenal and a Liverpool when they were, in the wilderness for decades. Who do you think United will sign this winter? Says Knight. Nobody. I don't think we'll sign anybody unless we. I don't think we'll sign anybody. I really don't. I don't think we'll sign anyone in January. I think a couple of players might go on loans and things like that, but I don't think we'll sign anybody. Anyway, let's have a look at this Chelsea game. So my prediction for this game, I think we'll lose. I think we'll lose 2-0. Remember, I've predicted nothing right in a long time, so that could be a good thing. I do think it's possible to grind out a draw. It's not impossible to find a win, but we won't win it in the way you want to win. If we win this game, it will be backs to the wall, Moments FC. And, I think a few weeks ago, some of you would have been saying, well, that's not a good thing for United. We've been doing this for 3 years. We can't just keep grinding out fine margin wins. We need to find an identity and a style of football. And that's the whole point why we need a new manager. Because under this regime, we're just going to be grinding out results, playing Ollie ball without Ollie. So, I think that we could be looking at three losses in a row. Like Watford, in relation to Premier League, Watford beat us last week. Chelsea, I think, are favourites to beat us on Sunday. And if we haven't got a new manager in, I think Arsenal are very, very dangerous at Old Trafford on the Thursday. I mean, we desperately have to beat Arsenal. We've got to beat Arsenal on a week tonight. And to do that, you've got to give the players an opportunity. And to give the players an opportunity, you've got to get the manager in. You've got to get a new manager in. It's got to happen. And it's got to happen quick. It's not even a difficult job. A manager that picks the right team and coaches that drills the players properly, and this team wins lots of matches, says Cy Jones. No, but I agree, and that's why you need a new manager in, and that's why you need a new coaching setup in, and you need it very, very, very quickly. But look, we're all desperate for news at the moment. I agree. So get your questions in. But we're all desperate for change, and we're all desperate for the managerial appointment to happen. But I don't know. Now we qualified, we might see Ahmad play says to Nigel Farage, when we play young boys. Well, I'll answer that one. Why would Ahmad play against young boys? Mata will need to play. Lingard will need to play. Cavani will need to play. Greenwood will probably need to play. Ahmad's, as I said at the start of the season, we've got 10 attackers. Just because we're through, it doesn't mean he would play. Would you start Matic in this game, says Dia? Well, I wouldn't start McTominay, but I'm not Michael Carrick, so he will start McTominay. I thought he was bloody dreadful. Actually, I read something today. I actually quote tweeted it. There was a Twitter account that said Gary Neville's got a lot to answer for, and he's got a lot of influence. He mentioned Ronaldo's pressing, and now even fans are constantly talking about it. And I said, I wish Gary Neville would talk about how Scott McTominay's been crap since the opening day of the season, but gets picked every week. I tell you what, if his name was Scottus McTominayus of some country that's not in Britain, he would be getting absolute pelters. But I would play Matic in the midfield, but I don't think Matic was great last weekend. I'd like to see Fred and Donny. I think they're mobile. I think we're obsessed with trying to play. The thing about McTominay is, right, and I suppose Matic to a certain extent because he's old now, is that Ollie did it and Carrick did it. And they pick McTominay and Matic because they're tall. They pick them because they're tall, basically. But they also pick them because they think they're strong and resolute. Neither of them ever pick up the runners. Matic is too slow and McTominay doesn't know what he's doing. Matic is way better than McTominay, I've got to say that. But Matic is just too old now. The defensive side of McTominay's game especially, and certainly Fred's, is crap. And Donny is more mobile, faster, and will put a tackle in. The only thing McTominay and Matic have got over Donny is height. And I think that's why they get picked. Because I actually think that Donny and Fred couldn't do a worse job than Fred and McTominay. But we've been saying that for over a year. And I don't think it will happen. But I would play Van der Beek in that McTominay role. Especially in a back five. Especially when you've got a back five behind you. Why would you not get Donny in to maybe support the attack a little bit more? So I would definitely go with that. But as we know, we've seen it many times before. He will pick McFred. I'm sure he will. Cantona is the chosen one by the Glazers, says Krish. We need Pochettino ASAP. Look, I just want to go into that for a few minutes. What do you think is going to happen with the managerial situation? So I'm going to predict that Chelsea will win 2-0. I don't like predicting a loss. I very rarely do it, but I think Chelsea will win 2-0. We can win this game, and I want to win this game. We can win this game, but we'll have to win it horrible, which is what, Well, I'll give you a scenario here before we talk about the managerial situation. Right, it's a horrible scenario, and it's surprised no one's asked me, so I'm asking you now. I can't answer this because it's my question. Would you rather lose to Chelsea 1-0 on Sunday, and you get Pochettino and his management team on Monday, or would you rather beat Chelsea, but we get an interim, and Carrick stays and McKenna stays on the Monday? Now, effectively, I'm basically saying, would you lose to get rid of this coaching setup? But the irony of that? That's exactly what people were doing for Watford, and that's exactly why the board are incompetent, because people are still thinking, it might be not a bad idea to lose against Chelsea so we can get rid of this Carrick regime. But that was meant to happen last week. That's what Paul Scholes was on about. The reset should have already happened. You claim Mourinho failed. Did you back him? Didn't he bring in 2 trophies? Didn't your club side with a lazy footballer who is leaving for free? I can't read what your name is, but thank you very much for the super chat. Look, if you actually watched the United stand, you'd already know the answer to that. I backed Mourinho very long. I remember a lot of people wanted him gone after... was it Sevilla we played in the Champions League who knocked us out in the March? So I wasn't Mourinho out until the following sort of September, October time when we went to West Ham and played McTominay at centre-back and got beat. But the football was crap under Mourinho. It was crap. It was hard to watch, and he did deserve the sack. But he did win a couple of trophies, but he was never going to win the Premier League. The rub with Mourinho was always, you knew the football would be crap, but I think we all accepted when Mourinho came in, because he'd won the title everywhere, we all said, well, if the football's crap, hopefully it won't be as bad as people say, but if we win a title, it will be worth it. Unfortunately, he never got anywhere near a title, and we still got the crap football. So it didn't work in the end. I'd rather win against Chelsea with Poch in the stands watching. That's what I want, Arjen. Exactly, that's the right answer. And do you reckon Sancho and Van der Beek will get deserved playtime under a new manager like Pochettino, says Flicks. Well, look, I did my video on Pochettino yesterday. You can check it out on the channel, which is how, I can't remember what it was called, how Pochettino would line up, or why Pochettino's perfect for United. I think it was why Pochettino's perfect for Man United, actually. And I said I think he would play with Donny and Bruno in the same team, and Sancho in the same team. But you know what? It's not about an agenda against any individual player. Imagine Pochettino came into the team, got us playing really, really well, and used McTominay, or used Matic, or used Fred, or used Martial. Or Wan-Bissaka got loads better, and Maguire got loads better. That would be fine, absolutely fine. It's just the reset. I will not be holding out. I will not be holding any grudges against any players when we actually hit the reset button. I guarantee some of them will still be shit, and they will get called out afterwards. But you can't. For me, at United, the big problem for over a year has been dreadful coaching. Dreadful coaching. Like, we're really bad. Now, that isn't great for us fans to watch, but I do sympathise with players who are not being developed. And I disagree with... There is no player that has developed in the last 3 years anywhere near to the levels they would do if they were coached better. So, we'll see, But we've got to hit the reset button first. Hit the reset button and then see how players respond. Because, I think they'll be great. I think Bruno will develop under a new manager and new coaches. I think Rashford and Greenwood will. So why wouldn't Maguire and McTominay? So they all deserve a chance under a new manager. McTominay will never be called out. That clip of Sir Alex Ferguson praising him to Mourinho and will continue to play even under new management, says Anna Rudd. Well, I can't add anything to that. Suffice to what I just said. Under a proper coach, maybe we'll see the best of him. But one thing I will always say about McTominay is that he can never moan. Just like Ollie, he can never moan that he hasn't been given opportunities. I mean, you compare the starts he's had to Donny van der Beek, it's ridiculous. It'd be like, he's had so many chances. It's start after start after start. And especially this season, I thought he always plays well against Leeds. But how many games has he started this season? And he's been rubbish. Like, rubbish. He was rubbish against Watford. He was rubbish against Villarreal. He was rubbish against Man City. Rubbish against Liverpool. He's been, and Fred mainly. I mean, Fred's only not getting any because he played well in the last 20 minutes against Villarreal. Did Donny van der Beek prove his doubters wrong the other night? No, Ray. He got put in a position where he shouldn't have been playing. He should have been played in the McTominay role. But Carrick blew that opportunity for him. If Poch comes in and people like McFred plays better, then it was Ollie's coaching that's the problem. But if they are still bad, then it's just them. Yeah, Daniel, and I think you're spot on. And I think that's what people want to see. We know at the moment that we've got poor coaching. When you bring good coaching in, let's see what it's all about. Because, Marcus Rashford's another example. Marcus Rashford might become a brilliant world-class player, which is what everyone thinks he can be. Or, like Ricky has said, he thinks he's overrated. He thinks, he's got a good shot on him. He's got a good bit of skill, but he's not a team player. He doesn't get his head up. Maybe he's not able to do that. That's what you want to see. I think at the moment there's so many good players that United have got that are nowhere near the potential they can be, and they're not going to be until they get coached better. I'd rather we got Rodgers over Poch, says Nozza. And if Poch comes in, McSauce won't get a chance, says Himanshu. And we're going to get smashed by Chelsea. I tell you what, Faisal, I'll call you out there. Thanks for the thanks for the super chat. I'm not going to say we're not going to get smashed by Chelsea at the weekends, but I think it's such a lazy analysis of a football match. Chelsea could beat us 4 or 5-0. They're good enough. They're top of the league. They're the best league in the best team in the league, arguably the best team in the world. They won the Champions League. So Chelsea could smash us. They've got as much right to smash us as anybody, But when people go into these games, they go, we're going to get smashed. If you play a back five like that with 2 holding midfielders in front of it, you really won't get smashed because if somebody parks the bus to that extent, you're not going to get carved open. They might score a couple against you, but they shouldn't be scoring 3 or 4. So I think, you know, people write things off as, oh, we're going to get smashed. I don't think it's that. I definitely don't think it's that, and I definitely don't think that, you know, you can just walk into the game and say we'll get smashed. I think we will get beat, and I think they'll have a lot of the ball. But look, I'll say something else as well. You might be. I don't know why people are saying I'm deluded. I'm not saying we're not going to get beat. I'm just saying I think people go, we're going to get smashed. We're going to get smashed. Well, they didn't smash Burnley 3 weeks ago. That's what I'm saying. And Chelsea would be probably very, you know, Tuchel would probably be very happy to get a couple of goals and just sit back. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Tuchel would be that interested at 2-0 to go, right, let's go and hammer them, if it leaves the door open for them to get back into the game. He's a tactical coach, and we could lose 5-0, but I think the more likely score is what I've gone. I think 2-0 is the most likely score. But what I was going to say as well is, you know, Harry Maguire's not playing in this game. That could be a good thing. You know, he's not been much of a leader recently anyway. But their centre-back, Rudiger, over the last calendar year, I just think he's playing so well at the moment. I hope I'm going to be wrong, but I think Ronaldo up against Rudiger, that's going to be really difficult for Ronaldo. You know, Reece James is playing really well at the moment. I think Sancho is worth trying to get in the game because he, you know, Ben Chilwell. I mean, look, Chelsea injuries. I should have said this. Chilwell looks like he's got a season-ender, ACL, knee injury. Kante is carrying an injury. I think Kovacic is carrying an injury, and Havertz is carrying an injury. So they could be missing a few players, but Lukaku, I think, is back. I think Mason Mount's available. Ziyech looks good. Pulisic is there. So, I mean, look, Alonso will play at left back. They've got the thing about Chelsea is they've got a very good coach. They play a very good brand of football, and they've got an amazing squad. I think Chelsea's squad is arguably the best one in the Premier League because it's depth. You know, Lukaku goes out for a few weeks. All right, Werner, you can laugh at him, but they've been playing Havertz up front. They can find ways of doing it. Mount is out injured for a little bit. You've still got Ziyech, Pulisic that can play that role. Kovacic is injured. You've still got Kante. You've got Jorginho. Chilwell gets injured. You've got Alonso. They've got Azpilicueta as well. Reece James, Christensen, Rudiger, Thiago. You know, they've got so much depth. United have got a good squad, but we've just got no midfield. We played the exact same system against Liverpool at home, and that ended 5-0. No, we didn't. So what's the difference between playing Chelsea? We did not play a back five against Liverpool, mate. We didn't. The back five came in after Liverpool, so we didn't play the same way against Liverpool at all. We went to a back five against Spurs, and I mean, Man City. Did we play a back five against City? We didn't against Liverpool. Liverpool was when we played 4-2-4. Got absolutely battered. 2-0 loss against City felt like a smash, Mark. Hubert, yeah. And you can open that up. I think that's a great point. You can lose 2-0 and get smashed. We lost to Man City and we got smashed. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think people are thinking we're going to get beat 5 or 6-0 on Sunday. That shouldn't happen. Having said that, if you're a Chelsea fan watching, you score first against United and the heads will drop. And I always say this, and it's not always the same for every team. If United concede first, this season we're fucked. You know, the heads drop. We don't respond. If we score first, you know, we tend to be better. So we need to score first in that game. Reece James for me is the best right back in the country at the moment. You know, there's always been a good debate about right back, Wan-Bissaka and Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker, Trippier. You know, there's some good right backs about, but I think Reece James, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold has got a brilliant delivery on his right foot, whether it's shooting or crossing, but he's not great defensively. I think Wan-Bissaka's a very good defensive right back, but not great going forward. I think Reece James has sort of fused the two, and he's got such a good shot on him as well. I wish Matic was in his prime, plus good manager equals title, says Daniel. Yeah, we miss not having a CDM, but you know, this is what we're on. This is what we always talk about on this channel. This channel's been going for a few years now, and I remember under Van Gaal, under Mourinho, and you get some people in the chat going, "Oh, man thinks he knows better than a manager that's won this, that, and the other." Football's not that deep. It's really not that deep. And the sad thing is, people in football get paid a lot of money to organise teams, and they couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. And that's the problem with United. Many of you have been talking with us on the channel for probably 2 years now, probably longer, saying we need to buy a CDM. I said at the start of the summer, by all means get Sancho, by all means get Varane, but the priority signing for me is a CDM. And I think I said it the summer before. We still haven't bought one. And yet, well, fans know nothing. Fans know nothing. And yet, Solskjaer's out of a job. Carrick and McKenna and everyone else should be out of a job. And it's all because they didn't get a CDM in. Because they trusted McTominay and Fred. And an ageing Matic. They should have bought a CDM. They should have bought a CDM. Do you still expect something happening in regards to Poch today or tomorrow? Thank you, Said. I think the next less than 24 hours. I think between now and tomorrow morning is key. Absolutely key. Something needs to be happening around the club in the next day. But absolutely essential, something's in play by Monday. We can't go into next week where we are now uncertain. Like, it's got that Arsenal game for me was always the game where I can picture it. It's a dark 8 o'clock, Old Trafford, under the lights. It's packed. It's a new manager. It's absolutely explosive. The players have the bounce. I can picture it. I can picture it, and it gives me goosebumps. That's what we need to do. To be in that situation, the new manager needs to be taking the training on Tuesday. And look, if the new manager is an interim like Valverde with Carrick and McKenna going, this is Ronaldo, this is how we normally do things. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a brand new manager. So they've got to get moving. They have to get moving. And at the moment, what would you say in the chat is most likely to happen? I don't know. I'm going to say and look, I'm only there's no option that I'm more than 40% on. So, that says everything. I think I'm 40% that we'll have Poch in as our full-time coach. But that's not very high, 40%. There's nothing above 40% for me. I'm not 40% sure on anything at the moment. So there you go. Anyway, please smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Remember, Ultimate Fan, you can play for free. You've got to be over 18, but play for free. Set your own team up, open your packs, see who you get your points at the weekends, and you could win £8,500 from the cash prize pot. Links in the video description for that. Good luck. And 8 o'clock show tonight, of course. I'm going to be on Twitch, Goldbridge TV, playing United Stand FC, Goldbridge up front. We're going for promotion. If you know, you know. And obviously, if anything happens, we'll go live. Is Edward secretly a Scouser, says Oz. Yeah, let's see what happens. But look, I will see you on Twitch in about 15 minutes if you're going to join me on there, Goldbridge TV. 8 o'clock tonight. And yeah, let's see what happens. I'd love to be going live at some point. The thing is, what also, is if it is Poch, I feel if it's an interim, you can make the decision now. Like this morning, they could say Valverde is the man. They're obviously working on something. I'm hoping that they're working on Pochettino, because then that explains why we're waiting. Of course, they might not be doing anything because they want to keep with Carrick, which just makes you want to cry. Anyway, I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out Ultimate Fan. Links in the video description. Fantastic little game. You must be over 18, but it is free to play. And I'll see you on Twitch in a little bit. Thanks for watching. Oh, Christmas jumpers as well. Links in the video description. We do ship worldwide. Thanks for watching.